Hi, I'm Ainsley.
And I'm Campbell.
This is episode 5 of GTV.
When I wake up, boys and girls of every age, wouldn't you like to see something strange? Come with us and you will see this our town of Halloween. This is Halloween, this is Halloween.
Today is October 27th.
And this week's episode is all about Halloween.
Ooh! Have you ever wondered who announces during Friday Night Lights? Me too. Let's meet him.
Has been the voice of Highlanders announcing the Glenver home football games. Most people think it's a quick hobby Warbeck does on Friday nights, but it's more than just announcing football games. His planning starts much earlier than 7 p.m. kickoff each week.
So if it's senior night or if it's GYB night, that takes a lot more coordination, a lot more writing. Tonight we have a pink out going on, but this wasn't quite as much preparation. So part of it is depending on what's going on with the game, but it takes several hours.
Each year there comes and goes football players and their names. I asked him who his favorite names he likes to call out this season.
I've really enjoyed the dynamics of Brody and Trey being on the team. So anytime they're connecting on plays, that's been a lot of fun. As I'm mixing in, those brother-to-brother combinations and saying, Doyot to Doyot for how many ever yards. That's been really fun.
After accepting a job at Roanoke College to coach men's volleyball, Warbeck says Highlander Stadium will always be a special place to him.
I plan to keep doing it until Mr. Murray decides that he wants to get somebody else.
But there's a flag in the Highlander backfield.
Many sports teams have their senior night. Let's get a recap.
Now that I'm here, wishing I was still young. Those good old days.
I wish somebody would have told me, babe, that someday these would be the good old days. All the love you won't forget, and all these reckless nights you won't regret. Cause someday soon your whole life's gonna change. You'll miss the magic of the good old.
Next, let's see how the beta induction ceremony went.
So Jameson, what happens at beta induction?
At the beta induction ceremony, we induct the newest members of the National Beta Club. These members strive to achieve academic honors and maintain a GPA above a 3.75. They complete 15 hours of community service each year through the club, which helps to encourage service in our community.
So Morgan, what are you most excited for now that you're a beta member?
I'm excited to do some community service, and I feel like it'll really motivate me to keep good grades in my classes.
Last week, we had students from France visit our school. Check it out. While the French students were here, they went to the Roanoke Star and a pumpkin patch with their host families, and then Taco Bell with some friends that they met at school. What's your favorite part about America?
I love the football games.
It's football American. I love watching football America and the high school too.
I love the football game.
I like the open house.
I love Taco Bell.
Last week, Virginia Tech had a tractor trailer come up to show students how to safely drive.
Last week, Glenver had representatives from Virginia Tech come in and present their presentation on safe driving, particularly with semi-trucks on the road. We were able to take a look inside a truck and even talk to the driver about the biggest takeaway he could give young drivers from the presentation. Here's what we got.
Name of the organization coming here today?
Virginia Tech Transportation Institute.
All right, cool. And can I get your name as well?
Mark Peterson.
Mark Peterson.
Yep.
And then we have one question for you today. What is the biggest takeaway you can give to our high schoolers here at Glenver on driving on the road with trucks?
So the one thing that you can't get from our resources online is an opportunity to sit inside this truck and see the blind spots for yourself. Because it's one thing to be told what the blind spots are, to see pictures of it. It's another thing to sit up in the truck and actually see what the driver's able to see.
Thank you.
Yep.
Since it's Halloween week, let's hear some of the scary stories about Glenver's theater.
I'm often asked by students whether or not the theater is haunted. Many theaters all across the world are believed to have paranormal activity and that sort of thing. I don't think that I can really answer that question because it really comes down to what you believe in and what you don't believe in. But I can tell you there have been some very strange things that have occurred here in Theater Glenver High in our auditorium over the years. I'll tell you about a few of them and you can decide for yourself whether or not you believe in ghosts. Originally in the backstage area, we had a dressing room. There are a set of stairs that lead up to what's now a mechanical room and nothing special, but early on when I took the job here, we had no dressing room for the students, so I got permission to build one up there And we also used it in class on occasion when we were doing makeup projects. One evening I stayed here late, set up 5 different stations across the counter in front of each of the makeup mirrors so that the next day my students would have what they needed for their makeup project, each station neatly arranged and ready. Came in the next morning and sent students up, very proud of what I had done, and then they arrived upstairs, turned on the lights, and came down and gave me a very puzzled look. They called me up to the dressing room and said, "Mr. Franco, I'm not really sure why you're so excited about this." And when I went up there, all 5 of the makeup stations I had set up the night before were scattered all across the countertop in an area where I'm the only person who has the key and the door was locked. On another occasion, before leaving, I would turn off the lights on stage left, which is where my desk was located. Turn on the lights, backstage lights that wrap all the way around, had a little flip switch. And I walked about halfway across the stage and I heard the light click and then everything went black. Well, sometimes on a standard light switch, if you don't flip it all the way up and it has a spring in it, it may hold in position for a second and then click down. I thought that's what had happened. So I simply pulled my cell phone out, turned my light on, walked back across, turned the light back on. This time I got 3/4 of the way across the stage and it clicked again and went to black. Turned my flashlight back on, walked over, turned the light back up, and made it all the way to the exit on stage right going out into the courtyard. And just as I pushed those doors open, the light clicked again and went out. I didn't go back to turn it on. And then lastly, one evening after a rehearsal, all of the actors were seated down in the front of the house. I was sitting on the front of the stage, speaking with them, giving notes on things that we had done well and some things we needed to work on, when suddenly the lights turned on up in the catwalk and I could see feet walking around. I yelled up and asked who it was. I thought one of my technicians had forgotten something in the projection room and had just climbed the side stage ladder and gone back. Each one of the technicians answered, "No, we're here, we're here, we're here." I'm like, somebody's on the catwalk. Instantly, they sprinted out the back of the auditorium house and up to the projection room. I went over, climbed the ladder so that there was no way for anyone who was up there to get out. The technicians were at the projection room, which is the only exit on that end. I was at the top of the catwalk ladder, the only exit on this end. And when we got to the middle, there was no one in the catwalk, but there were footprints in the dust on the walkway and dust floating around in the air. And those have been some experiences in our theater at Glenver that I cannot explain, and things that lead some people to believe there are ghosts. Once the school was renovated, we no longer had these issues going on, and we haven't had anything like that happen since. So I guess belief or unbelief is up to you.
Earlier this week, the Highlander Helpers Club hosted a trunk or treat. Take a look.
He did the monster mash.
The monster mash.
It was a graveyard smash.
He did the mash.
It caught on in a flash.
He did the mash.
He did the monster mash. From my laboratory in the castle east to the master bedroom where the vampires feast. The ghouls all came from their humble abodes to get her.
Where's the cat?
Oh my gosh! What up? Yeah, we do a lot of events and stuff. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Next, let's see what people's Halloween costumes are.
And what are you being for Halloween?
Titan from Megamind.
And what are you being for Halloween this year? Ice Spice.
And what are you being for Halloween?
Bugs Bunny.
And what are you being for Halloween this year?
Conor McGruder. So Bobby, with Halloween coming up next week, what are you planning on being?
Well, I was thinking about being Deadpool from my sarcastic humor that everybody gets.
Now it's time for this week's Highlander Hot Takes.
My favorite candy is Reese's. How about you?
Hershey's.
Peanut M&M's.
Skittles.
Snickers or Milky Way?
I would rather die last in a horror movie than first. How about you?
Last, because I get to see all the killer's weaknesses.
I would rather be the first to die in a scary movie.
First.
I think I'd rather die last in the horror movie, so then I can say like, kind of got through all of it and kind of beat everyone else out.
I feel like I would die last because I wouldn't even know I'm in the horror movie.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode of GTV.
Make sure you tune in on November 10th for our next episode. Bye now! It's September 29th and one of our favorite
Next episode will air on October 13th. So hope to see you then.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of GTV.
Our next episode will air on October. I know you're
Motivated to just get in the
Get in the game!